Hey guys, it's James. James's boat build. Look who got the drain plugs done. Yes, I finally got it done. I got the fiberglass on the back, on the transom, and there's another layer of epoxy down. And I got to talking to a guy that does fiberglass work. And he says it's a common problem here in Florida. You know, we sweat so much, and you get the fabric wet, and that's what it is. And you know the old saying, water and oil don't mix? Same thing. So what had happened is, it's not that this is starved for resin. There's plenty of resin there, and it's set up just fine, and it's solid and flexible. It's just that these fibers in this area right here were contaminated with moisture, and the resin, when it was in liquid state, couldn't penetrate the water to get and saturate the fibers. And you know, like I said, oil and water don't mix, so it kept the resin out of getting into the fibers. So it is technically a weak spot. It's such a small area, and this is completely one of the strongest areas of the boat structurally. It's not gonna do anything. Once this boat has been primed and painted, you'll never know it's there. And the fact, I was also asked, is that your final layer? And I said, no, I'm putting another layer. He says, don't even worry about it. If you put another layer of glass on top of that, it says it's, for one thing, you're never going to see it. But if you ever did have problems, it's sandwiched in between. And it's not like it's going to bubble up and peel like it's, something wrong in there. He says, that was my problem. He says, no, he says, it's never going to peel, especially with that other layer of fiberglass on top. So, guy seemed pretty confident in what he was talking about, and I'm just going to go with that. It sounds reasonable. It's what I thought of in the first place. I want to show you this one, and I don't know how you could see it, this one little flat spot. It just irritates the shit out of me. I'm going to make a little bit of fairing compound and fill that up. And there's one other thing that needs to be addressed before I put the next coat of fiberglass on. And I don't even know if you could see it, because you could just barely see it in person. Right there, it's kind of concave. It was more profound at one time, because this whole area here is all fairing compound, and I filled in the area, and it just needs a slight bit more, like right here. It's just, and you could feel it just barely, and I mean barely, but it is noticeable, and hey, why not? So I'm going to address that and fill it in, and I'm going to get rid of that little flat spot that's right there with some fairing compound by building it up, and basically it's just resin and the filler that I'm adding to it. See, here also is and here's a good example too. Here's a big old sweat drop, because I was sweating big time. Drop, and then the water just comes down, drip, 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 and there it is. So it's a contamination. It contaminated the files, and it's locked in there. Now the resin's dried, and it's locked all around it. But it's, at this point, at this build, and how we're going to do it, it's cosmetic. It's not going to have a problem, especially the fact that I'm going to relay 2 times fiberglass amount. So, I mean, everything else looks good. I mean, it's just, everything's proportionate. Now, don't, just the bottom or I should say the top sides here, they're not cut to, they're extended. If you watched all my videos, you know that this is extended by 3/4 of an inch, and it'll be trimmed to fit when I flip the boat over. But I mean, everything's beautiful. I mean, I like the way everything is. I'm not crazy about doing a mechanical bond opposed to a chemical bond, but you know, that's just the way it is. I'm one person, and I like working at my pace, and sometimes you can't do a chemical bond. Oh, and let me tell you something. When you're doing, and some of you might not know, but I'm going to explain. A chemical bond is when you first put down resin, and you're waiting it. Let's say I wet this out, and I had 2 people, and I put the cloth right down and wet it out. Okay. Before I put another layer of resin down, not fiberglass, but just trying to fill the weave, you would touch the resin and see when it's tacky, but it doesn't leave nothing on your finger. Then that's the time to put the next coat of resin. You do the same thing with the barrier compound primer in the paint, and that's the chemical bond. And that's what I'm talking. A mechanical bond is simply that. It's you're putting the resin down, the epoxy on a surface that's been scratched up, such as with a sander, and the epoxy is like grabbing on to this surface by all those millions of little scratches, and that's why I talked about the little air bubble craters, which are like, I don't even know if you could see them. Those are the air bubble craters, and that's what I was talking about. So that way the resin has something to grab. Like if it was slick and shiny like this is right here, I mean, it would, like it is right there. It would stick to it, but it wouldn't stick as well as something that's been sanded, that's rough. And I know y'all get that because it just needs something to grab onto. But that's a nice little explanation of how I do it, where I'm at, and I appreciate everybody, subscribing and following along my video blog of this build. I'm going to carry it all the way through to priming and painting and flipping and doing the inside, how I finish off the cabin. I'd like to keep on going with the videos as far as, putting the boat in the water and testing it and see what works and what doesn't work. I mean, just a full build a boat from scratch all the way into the water. So, I'm looking forward to doing all that. It's going to be, a year or so before this boat ever gets done and probably into the water. But, it's going to get done. So if you don't mind waiting and you want to see the live results, you just subscribe and hang out with me. Hit the notifications button and give us a thumbs up. I'm trying my best out here to do a video blog and, send this out here. It's not like I need to get a job from YouTube. I'm just doing this out of the goodness of my heart and want to share my knowledge just as much as I've learned a lot from YouTube. And that's the God honest truth. I don't know how to express it any more simply. But if you've held on this long and you've watched my whole video, man, you are number one. All right, you all have a good day. Bye-bye.